What up, y'all? DCFAYGOGUY. Welcome back to another episode of Flavor of the Month. It is the beginning of October. We did skip the month of August. The thing about August was there was like 2, maybe 3 new albums that came out back in August that I checked out. So I figured maybe we would just wait for this episode right here and talk about not only August, but also September, because there was a lot of shit that dropped in September. So that is what I decided to do. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. If you are new to Flavor of the Month, a refresher on what it is, because it's been a minute. Flavor of the Month is me going over new albums that I've listened to, and maybe I haven't reviewed them or I have reviewed them. Really, it's just going to be kind of talking about new albums that have come out, just to kind of plug them and give my thoughts on them. So let's jump right the fuck into this. I'm going to actually start with the August albums first and then work forward. I think working forward is going to be the best way to do it. So starting off first and foremost, and I'm not even going to pretend to remember when release dates were for any of these. So I did not write any of that down. I did not come prepared with any of that. I'm just going to, I know when they came. I know when they dropped. And I know that I checked them out, during the months that they dropped. So first and foremost, I did talk about this a little bit. I'm going to talk about it here just so that I can kind of put it out there for anyone who may be wondering. Clockworky, super famous Funtime guys, collectively known as the Mighty Morphin Whackness. They went on tour. They put out an EP. I have heard the EP. I've listened to it 2, maybe 3 times. There's some things that had happened. Not going to really go into that. But this EP was supposed to be tour exclusive for those who went to the tour. Naturally, it's the age of the internet. Files did get shared. I have heard it. I've listened to it. But there was just something about listening to it, even though I didn't have the CD and I didn't go to the tour, that just, for whatever reason, I didn't feel like I was enjoying it. It felt like peeking at presents before Christmas. The album is really fucking good, but every time I listened to it, there was just, in the back of my mind, it just felt wrong, knowing that there are members of that group that wanted it to be exclusive and they wanted to hold it to that standard. So listening to that album, I felt like I was disrespecting that. So I have listened to it. It's actually fantastic. They have announced they're going on a second leg of that tour. So if they hit close to where I'm going to be, the plan is for me to go to that tour, pick up a physical copy of it, and properly review the motherfucker. But wanted to really kind of talk about that. I had touched about it previously on an episode of What's Happening Now. I wanted to talk about it again here, because it is a new album. It is one that I listened to, and it's fucking great. But just the way that it was released and the way that it was available and the way that I acquired it, it just didn't feel right. So, yeah. Then, out of completely nowhere, fucking low-key started promoting Fraggle Swag shit. And we got Fraggle Swag 2 that dropped kind of out of the blue. And this, for me, was something that I wasn't expecting. Just because he put out a poll back in April, I believe it was, and fucking it had like a list of albums that he was more or less going to focus on. One of them was Fraggle Swag 2, and it was not winning at all in the poll. So the poll kind of made me, and I think a lot of people, feel like this is stuff that he has on his mind, but it's definitely in the back burner. So when Fraggle Swag 2 came out, I was completely blown away by it. If you don't know the whole gimmick behind Fraggle Swag, it is basically low-key doing a parody of like modern swag rap. You could even say, kind of, especially listening to Fraggle Swag 2, you could definitely even say like a lot of the trap music that you hear. Absolutely love this album. I've listened to it several times. I've honestly moved on from it. I listened to it probably the first week that it dropped. The second week after is when I started to really phase out of it. It's a parody album, so it's not something that I really took serious, but surprisingly, with the type of music that it is, it was very fun. Standout tracks on that were definitely Asteroid.
Fraggle Swag 2, bitch.
I forget what beat it was, but I had heard, was it, I know Roan had mentioned it. We were talking about it, and he had said that it was a beat that he recognized from an artist that he did listen to, and it was a song that he did like. So I can't remember what it was. And I'm pretty sure, I think Peanut Butter Jelly and a Glass of Milk. It threw me the fuck off because not too long ago where I work, I drive transportation. I'm transportation at a nursing home. So I take residents of a nursing home to their appointments. And they had gotten us a new bus. And so while I was in, fine tuning it and everything, getting this, the CarPlay set up, the Apple CarPlay set up, the FM radio, they had Sirius. I guess you got like a free week or whatever. The radio came on and started playing, and I heard the beat for peanut butter jelly and a glass of milk, and it caught me off guard. I'm like, wait a minute, why is my phone auto playing this? That's not what I was listening to. Completely threw me off. So I'm curious how many of these beats are kind of, jack your beat style beats, if that made any sense. This album kind of feels like maybe that's where that was. I don't know what my thought was there. But that fucking train just gone, just like that. But I think that Fraggle Swag 2, it's a fun album. It's something, if you're going to listen to it, don't take it super serious. Or if it's like your cup of tea, just remember that he's having fun. He's kind of making fun of the music. Keep that in mind too. But it is a fun listen. Interestingly about Fraggle Swag 2, we actually got like a persona for this type of music. Ghost Pretty is kind of the ulterior or the alter ego or alter personality of Low Key when he's doing this type of music. So it's interesting that was put in there as well. They had like a full fucking bundle of like really cool merch. I didn't pick up any of the merch. I did actually pick up a physical copy of this CD though, just for shits and giggles. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna support this drop even though I know it's like nothing serious. I just wanted to fucking support it. So Fraggle Swag 2, again, if you're gonna go listen to it, it's something that just keep in mind. This is like what's the word I'm looking for? This is like Golden Goldies meets Psychopathic Riders. I think that's probably a good way to really, I wouldn't even say I would say Psychopathic Riders, just because if the beats are in fact jacked, which a couple of them I know for sure were, that part I would say yes. It's like modern mainstream beats and he's doing stupid goofy shit over them. So that's where I say the Golden Goldies. And if you don't know what Golden Goldies is, you can go look that up. But then moving right along, The Gathering of the Juggalos came. And I knew about it prior to it happening. I had heard a couple of songs. But the homies over at Deck One Dealt, yes, more than just a podcast. That's actually a great title for this episode. More than just a podcast. These guys have actually been rapping for years, back in like 2004, 2005. So it's been like 20 years now. They were collectively known as Broken Four. They had released a couple of albums. It was nothing that got signed or, they never got booked to perform at concerts to my knowledge. But they have put out music. And in my opinion, I think that they're really good at doing it. The thing about the homies at Deck One Dealt, they are fans of hip-hop, especially Carver, and especially Just Chris. Just Chris won the rap battle last year. Freestyle fucking is something that he is really fucking good at. And so, they've done this kind of shit before, and they decided to do like a tribute album to being a Juggalo. And so the Homage was an album that they put out, and they made it available at The Gathering, physical copies for free at The Gathering. You can actually still go right now, I do believe, deckonedelt.com/The Homage, and you can buy a pack of stickers and get yourself a physical copy of this album, because, they technically aren't selling this album. They're giving it away for free. It is a mixtape. But you can go buy some stickers and get a physical copy of this, or you can go listen to it for free at that same link. I believe as of just this last Friday, Old Head Anthem officially dropped as a single on all DSPs. So go give that a listen and see what you think. But the homage is really good, and I think it really showcases just how talented Keezy, Chris, and Carver really are at actually rapping. So when they do their podcast, and because they are notorious, and I will say there are things that they do and say that I don't agree with. Like, I know they ruffle feathers like a motherfucker. I will say, full disclaimer, there's things they do and say I don't agree with. But I respect what they do because they're being true to themselves. You know what I mean? They're not putting on a front to try to win accolades. They're not putting on a front to try to be popular. Like, the podcast that they do is them talking their opinion. And if I don't agree with their opinion, I have to respect it, because at the end of the day, they don't always agree with my opinions, but they respect it. And that is something that I think the Juggalo community is lacking seriously, is just like, we don't agree? Cool, whatever. We can still be cool with each other. It doesn't have to be beef. It doesn't have to be conflict. So, like I said, there's things that they do and they say, and there's things that they do, there are things that they did and they said on this mixtape that a lot of people are going to take issue with. So just keep that in mind. A big, for instance, is the song 17 Whoops.
No one wanna be kicking it. I'll find a way to mooch up the wicked shit. I only got one way to spit. Bitch, I'm a pony and this is my only trick.
I'm about to pop me a sedative. I'm gonna keep it repetitive. Y'all motherfuckers is shufflos. Ninja, that much is evident. I'm with the clowns, I'm a resident. I am a hatchet president. I got this tendency, murder my enemies. Y'all wondering just how red I get.
Straight up took a Ouija Mac beat, or a Devereaux beat, if you will, and made a song more or less putting their money where their mouth is. Because a lot of people, Duck Wendell has been very forthcoming of the fact that they are not a fan of Ouija Mac at all. They don't like Chapter 17. And a lot of the Chapter 17 fans, or the Ouija Mac fans, have come at them. And, you know, because when they make the claims that what Ouija does is not hard, it's easy. And a lot of people, when that is said, they go, oh, if it is, then prove it. You do it. Well, they did it. 17 Whoops is them doing Ouija Mac shit. And it is, it's awesome, but it's also, it's like, I feel like I can't say that because I feel like people are going to come at me like, why would you agree with them? Like, things are so touchy right now, and it's like, people just get upset when you say something they don't agree with, or, you know, I don't really know. But I think The Homage is just a really great album. If you are a fan of hip hop, you're really going to love this. Some really great beat selections. There's some shit on here that I didn't know what the original versions of them were. I think, what is it? Is it FU? EFFU is actually a Method Man and Redman beat. I did not know that. Listening to it now, I can see where that, you know, I can actually kind of hear that now. So, great selection of beats if you're a hip-hop head. And this is an album that is just sprinkled from front to back with Juggalo references. But that is what this album was supposed to be. Paying an homage to being a Juggalo, to ICP, to hip-hop, all at the same time. So if you're a fan of hip-hop, if you are a Juggalo, it's an album that I think you would really enjoy, and I would really recommend giving it a listen if you are a fan of hip-hop. So, Duck Wendell's The Homage. Then another one that came and went, that going into this, I wasn't sure what to really expect. Stray originally had teased he was doing a collab album with somebody, and that nobody would be able to guess who it was. And I definitely didn't guess who it was. But Stray and Samson put out Black Summer, a little EP. I believe it was closer to the end of August that this came out. Is absolutely really good. I think Stray and Samson complement each other very well on this album. And I will say that this EP actually gave me a lot of Mayday vibes. For any Strange Music fans that are familiar with Mayday, got a lot of the same vibes as that. And it actually made me want to hear them work with Mayday. I know Stray has worked with Recognize on his album Cloudy Alibi, but hearing this and hearing that kind of island vibe that this album had,
You put a spell on me. Yeah. Little mama see the mallow, dressed in all black. Hell yeah, I wanna bother. I wanna be the Gomez to her Morticia. I wanna see the vices go in flames when we go and take a picture. Cause
it definitely made me feel like if they're going to do more together and it's going to have kind of this vibe, I would love to hear Mayday on this. I'd love to hear Recognize and Burns as Mayday or separate, either or. Or in the future, I would love to see Mayday actually work with Samson and Stray. I don't know. I feel like we need to come up with maybe not so much a group name, but just like an alias for them to work together if they do more albums together. And maybe they could call themselves the Beach Boys. I don't know. Maybe I'm spitballing here on some ideas and they have no plans of like doing this type of vibe if they do albums together in the future. But I really enjoyed Black Summer. Really fun. A really short listen. Only 12 minutes. But that's one of those things where you can let it just kind of replay. And actually, the day that it dropped, I listened to it like 4 or 5 times back to back to back. I just kind of let it play. So it was a really good, really fun little EP that they dropped. And then moving on along to this one. This was one that I was anticipating. This is one that I had learned about and heard about. Basically through checking out Black Summer, I ended up following Samson on Instagram. I believe I ended up following him also on Facebook. And he was promoting Mad Max's new EP, Dirtcore 24. So my eyes were fixated on that and ready for it. Dropped on September 1st. This one I do know. And if I'm not mistaken, that's the same release date as Kaleidoscope from last year, which Kaleidoscope from Mad Max, if you have not listened to that album, Jesus Christ, go listen to that album. Absolutely fucking amazing. But Mad Max dropped Dirtcore 24. I believe this is supposed to be his Dirtcore debut. I could be wrong with that. But absolutely great. 5 tracks only. Technically only 4 if you take out the first track, which is more or less just like an intro. Again, this one has a short runtime. It's only 13 minutes long. But goddamn, Mad Max came and fucking killed it on this thing. Diary of a Madman, he mentions Low Key, he mentions Mission Infect.
To all of these whack motherfuckers, it never would have existed if it wasn't for me and Low Key. Infect!
Just absolutely fucking great. Terrifying is great. Shinobi Stance easily has to be my favorite song off of here.
I'm an original and in that degenerate, so shout out retarded animal babies and Pico. I'm in tune with the madness, they say I'm a psycho. No one ever tests me, they don't want to see where it might go. Be tripping in the mud when the light low. I make double D, triple X, I'm sick of the typos. I love them.
I like the beat, I like his flow, I just fucking absolutely love that track. And then it kind of, the beat really kind of, the flow of the album really slows down for the finale, which is Rat Race. And I had seen Mad Max tweet about this, and he had said that there was an old First Six sample. And let me rephrase that. There was a sample on Rat Race that was also featured or used or sampled on a First Six song. And when he put that on there, he had said the only person who noticed and picked it up was Low Key. I believe it was Creeper then tweeted back and put that he thought that Rat Race had... I think the tweet was actually about a song on this album that had the sample, and then it was Creeper who had then pointed out Rat Race sounded like it had something. And then it was Mad Max who then confirmed that there's a sample on Rat Race that was also used on the Killing Fields. And I'm not entirely sure if it's the preacher at the beginning that's talking, or if it's that like, I think it's like there's like a whistle or a howl, kind of like a howling wind sound. I think that might be the sample. But when I seen that tweet, it like clicked for me because I knew there was something about Rat Race that seemed familiar. The beat on Rat Race is like slowed down and it has kind of that like grimier sound to it.
I've been living in a bad place. Teeth growing, it's the rat race. Bloody cheeks with a sad face. I would eat anything to survive. I don't mind a little bad taste. I warm my body with capsaicin. That's ancient. Just leave my body on the road where the cobblestones or the black pavement.
And it was, it must have been, my brain must have been picking up on that Keeling Fields nostalgia, because as soon as he said it and it clicked, I was like, yes, that's kind of the feeling that Rat Race gives me. And the way that he's flowing over that beat is just, grimy, baby. I think Shinobi Stance, I think, is definitely my favorite, but I would put Rat Race at a close fucking second for my favorite song off of that EP. So fucking good. I had tweeted out there that the worst thing about it, I'm paraphrasing like a motherfucker, but I think I had put out there that I wanted more. It was like a gif of Anakin Skywalker saying, I want more, and I know that I shouldn't. And he had actually said that this is just the first taste. So I don't know if that means we're getting something else before the end of the year, but it definitely means Mad Max is fucking working on some shit, which I would assume so, this being his debut on Dirt Core. Yeah. And then another one that it slid under my radar, and of all people, it was Deck One Dealt that reminded me of this. I did remember seeing it posted in the UPC Discord, the Underground podcast community Discord. I believe it was Robbie from Do It for the Underground who had posted it. There's a fucking channel in there called General Underground News, and I think I remember seeing this posted, but I just forgot about it. And the homies Deck One Dealt went and fucking listened to this, and I know the reason that they listened to it was because Stir Crazy is like a part of it. But what got my attention, of course, was Gruesome. I really enjoy Gruesome. I got introduced to Gruesome because of Ronebone from Beneath the Dirt back in the early, I think it was February of 2022 when Evil dropped. Ron was like, go listen to this album. And at that point, because I'd recently discovered Low Key and realized I had slept on Low Key for many years, I was like, I'm not doing that ever again. So when he mentioned Gruesome, I went and checked it out and just have been following along with Gruesome ever since. I don't know how this went under my radar, but it is a group album called WIC Kids, like, you know, the women, infant, and child program that the government has, you know, as long as Trump doesn't get elected and get rid of it. It's kind of a play on a word from that. So it's WIC Kids, like these kids grew up on WIC, but then obviously wicked, like they're wicked. It's King Gordy, it's Ill Temper, it's Gruesome, it's Donnie Menace, and I assume Stir Crazy does the production. But absolutely fucking love this group album. I'm going to be completely honest with you. For years, I've just never listened to King Gordy. I've heard him on Horns off of KOD, which is Tech Nine's album, for those who don't know. And I was like, okay, cool. He didn't do bad on his verse, but I had always heard that King Gordy just like said some off the wall shit in some of his albums. Like, he can be raunchy, and I just had always kept it in my mind that, like, I don't know that I want to listen to King Gordy. I don't know what it was. I think I was turned off to King Gordy for many years. And Gruesome has actually worked with King Gordy before. I think it's, the album, I believe, is called How to Gag a Maggot. Is that the name of it? But I'm pretty sure he's done, like, there's maybe 2 of those. But he's done work with King Gordy before, and knowing that I've always felt like that about King Gordy, I've never gone and listened to those albums. Now, having listened to this and liked this, I definitely am going to change that, because I actually thought King Gordy did pretty fucking great on this album. And there's actually, I think it's on Inhumane, there's a line where King Gordy talks about fucking a woman on a couch and just, what does he say? Does he say he pissed all over the couch?
I'm eating bitches out till they're bleeding out. I'm peeing on her couch, now she needs a couch.
And Gruesome, and this is why I love Gruesome. Gruesome then has a fucking line where he's talking about sending the kid, like they're watching a movie, he's watching this movie with this girl, the kids get sent to their rooms, they start fucking on the couch, and he notices that it smells like piss.
On to it, sent all the kids to the rooms and got dick down to this dark music. Jesus, the couch smells like there's piss all through it, so I rubbed the face in it like a bitch dog, ruthless.
And I immediately caught that connection of him referencing King Gordy's line or his verse where he talked about pissing on the couch. And then making the what's the word? Making the making the observation, there we go, of it smelling like piss. And I was like, yeah, this is why I fucking love Gruesome. Like, yeah, Gruesome's the shit, though. So Wick Kids was one of those albums that it slid under my radar. I don't know how it was, but the homies at Deck One Doubt, they did an episode where I think they watched, or they listened to this album. What was the other album that they listened to, though? I can't remember what it was. It was another album that was a short one. I think it was the Clockwork E album that they had put out recently, and I forget the name of that one. But they listened to that one, and then they listened to this. That was the episode where they were going to do... we're not even going to touch on that. Never mind. But yeah, they're the ones that brought it to my attention, and I don't know how it slipped under my radar. The Wick Kids, definitely fucking dope. And it honestly made me realize that I think I'm sleeping on Donnie Menace. I know I have seen... in that same UPC Discord, in that same general underground news tab where people have talked about Donnie Menace a lot. I know Doc Gruesome's another one too that I've tried to listen to. I know I've definitely tried to listen to Doc Gruesome's. I think Doc Gruesome's the one that did is that the Chainsaws and Boomsticks albums? There's some that I went and tried to listen to and it just wasn't hitting for me, so I never went back and listened to them. But leaving Wick Kids made me realize I think I'm definitely sleeping on Donnie Menace, and I need to rectify that as well. So I need to keep my eyes on Donnie Menace, and the next time he drops a new album, I need to check it out. But the Wick Kids is definitely an album I think you guys would enjoy if you enjoy some grimy fucking wicked shit or just grimy fucking horrorcore. And it's a great collective of horrorcore artists. King Gordy, Gruesome, and Donnie Menace for sure. I'm not really familiar with Ill Temper. But yeah, Wick Kids is definitely an album I would say go give it a listen. And then I think, looking at everything here, I think the very last one to talk about is The God Mum Ra dropped Auto God Chapter 1. And the thing I don't know about this, I think I have an idea of where this is going, because I had seen some kind of post about it and somebody had put in it. I think this is going to be similar to what Tech Nine and Strange Music was doing a few years ago, where they would release these little EPs and then a full album would come out. I'm not sure if that's the case with Auto God. Like, we're going to get different chapters. It's going to have, you know, X amount of songs. And then after all those came out, the full album would then come out. I don't know if that's the case or not, or if these individual little EPs are going to come out and then kind of together they'll make up an album that you can then put together. I don't know what the case is. If somebody knows, definitely post that in the comments down below. But this is my first time really diving into Mum Ra. He is, of course, from Mission Infect. So I went into this knowing I was going to check it out. He is working with Dirtcore, so it was also getting promoted through that. You know, like I said, I was listening to Black Summer and then started following Samson. That's how I knew about Dirtcore coming out. So those same people then were also helping promote Auto God coming out. So it was like the perfect timing for me to really dive into Mum Ra. And I will say Mum Ra is definitely... There's some people I know that I think would like it. Sean Z from Carnival Spirits, formerly of Carnival Spirits, I think. Yeah. I think he's somebody that would really like this. Anyone out there that really likes insane poetry, I think would like Mum Ra. He has a very similar sounding voice and cadence when he raps. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe he's from New York. So it's definitely in that vein of like hip hop, Brooklyn hip hop. Sorry, I had a little bit of a brain fart there for a second. So definitely think a lot of people would really enjoy Mum Ra. So if you have not listened to Auto God Chapter 1, definitely go give it a listen. I like the energy in this. Can't Get Rid of Me and Come On. The fucking beats that they had are almost like theatrical in a way.
Less of a kind, we are now within the end of days. Many have fled because they fear their fate was in the grave.
And it like really sets a tone that gets me excited. I will be honest, the album starts to slow down towards the end. And when I get to One Time, that's usually kind of when I'm feeling like ready to move to something else. So I don't know. Again, if this is going to be, if this EP is just one piece of a bigger album, I don't know where that One Time album needs to be. It's definitely One Time that seems to kind of do that to me. So And this is a little bit of a shorter album as well. It's only 14 minutes long, but it is 6 tracks. So, yeah, it's definitely something to go listen to. And again, if you like insane poetry and if you like that kind of a sound, I think you would really enjoy this. And it was, like I said, it was my first time really diving into Mum Ra. So yeah, definitely that was one that I listened to and I enjoyed it as well. It has me excited to hear more from Mum Ra, the God Mum Ra. If you go to look him up on digital streaming, it is the God Mum Ra. I do think that Auto God is something that there's a few people I think would enjoy it. And in fact, I think the homies from Deck Wendell would enjoy it as well, knowing the type of hip hop that they like. So I think that is going to do it for this episode of Flavor of the Month. We are only a few days into October, so we will see. I don't know if we'll do an episode at the end of October, if we're going to wait for the end of November. Maybe that may be the way we do this, bi-monthly. Just really depends on the amount of releases that come out. So on that same note, maybe we will do it at the end of November, and then we can kind of go over our top albums of 2024 in December, because Flavor of the Month is just kind of like pieces of that. And then at the end of the year, we'll go over like what albums were the best that I felt for the entire year. So tell me down below, out of any of these albums, if you have listened to them, which ones did you like and what was your favorite tracks from them? If you have not listened to any of these albums, go check them out. Come back and tell me what you think. I thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.